I don't believe her and Grayson had this great night together because Ashley's a wet blanket. Maybe Ashley had a good night because Grayson was putting in a lot of work and she was probably laying there like a wet blanket. Good afternoon or evening, fellow Beyond the Gates viewers, here to talk about today's Thursday episode of the soap opera. Today wasn't my favorite. I don't know. I think today kind of showed a lot of the show's current weaknesses, which is that they need an overhaul of storylines or just more storylines in general. Because any storyline that doesn't involve Dani, Bill, Hayley, Andre isn't really giving. I mean, some people like the cancer storyline, and it has been well written for the most part, although it kind of fell off this past week, in my opinion. I've seen a lot of negativity about the show lately on social media regarding too much cancer story, regarding it being the only story, regarding the show needing new storylines. So at least I know I'm not alone in my opinion of where the show is right now. Let's start with the good today, which was coming off of yesterday's episode of Hayley finding Dani and Bill in an embrace and breaking that up. Hayley got a little biting today, telling Dani that Chelsea and Naomi will have someone to turn to if worse comes to worse with her cancer gene, saying they could turn to Bill. Of course, Dani wasn't going to like that. I still kind of wish they would have just turned Hayley full bitch in this situation like we talked about yesterday with the beginning of yesterday's episode with Dani's daydream of Hayley. They kind of half-assed it today. I would like them to push that more. Hayley said she was trying to be comforting. She says she could feel the worry in the air because why else would Dani be visiting Bill in the middle of a workday? Dani said that Hayley has good questions and will leave them be. So, Dani never really answered the questions. It was good to see Hayley giving pushback on Bill's ex-wife. And it was good to see Bill be upset with Hayley for continuing to take digs at Dani today. Hayley ranted to Bill that was the last time she's going to try and show sympathy to Dani. Bill said that the sympathy only counts if she actually means it. Hayley started to berate Bill for taking Dani's side over her like usual. Bill said he divorced Dani and she already won the fight between her and Dani because he married her. Bill says that Hayley was twisting the knife trying to get a rise out of Dani and says there's nothing funny about his children or their mother getting cancer. So Bill, very right there. Bill was getting quite upset by the middle of the episode with Hayley's tongue. And, Bill, we kind of debate this in the comments sometimes with some of you in the comments about, does Bill really want Dani? Does Bill really love Dani? Or does Bill just not want Dani with anyone else? And that's why suddenly, now that she's married to Andre, Bill has taken this big interest in Dani again. I think Bill still has feelings for Dani, but I also do think he has this winning mentality and he thinks only he could have Dani. And he definitely only wants Dani again because she is married to Andre. Anyway, they ended up going out to dinner. Hayley was saying that she knows the situation is serious and she'll do better, but they were all huffy together at dinner. She called him out for giving her the silent treatment. Bill was saying that Naomi came in and Bill learned that Hayley had texted Naomi some positive words about her cancer testing gene thing. And so that kind of made Bill feel better about Hayley. And they held hands by the end of the episode. But they were the highlight of the day. And when that story gets some good writing and gets some time in an episode, the Bill and Hayley and Dani and Andre quad triangle is usually the best thing about the show. Today, it was that again. But let's move on to all these other not so great stories today. Anita was feeling woozy at the beginning of the episode and came down the stairs to see Vernon. Samantha and Kat ended up coming over for a visit. Vernon was kind of against them staying because Anita was feeling woozy, but Anita said she feels fine. Anita has been putting on this tough act lately. And so she had Kat and Samantha stay so they could talk about this cotillion coming up and look at dresses and whatnot. Dani eventually showed up there as well to help with all of that, but Anita had to say that she is feeling weaker and that she should have let Vernon say it wasn't a good time to visit. So Samantha and Kat left. Dani stayed for a little while with her parents, but then got a text from Naomi that the results are in for Naomi and Chelsea's tests. So maybe we'll be dealing with that tomorrow. Anita is starting to show more weakness with this cancer and with the chemotherapy, as expected. Nothing really bad there, but the rest of the episode was not my favorite stuff. I mean, where do we start? Let's get this Ashley shit out of the way. Shanice was watching, in typical Shanice fashion, Ashley and Grayson flirt with each other. Naomi came in. Shanice was listening to Naomi and Ashley talk about Ashley and Grayson's night out. Ashley said she had a really, really, really good night with Grayson. Then they were all gossiping about Ashley's date, and Ashley had this example of ice cream about how Derek was mint chocolate or something, and how Grayson is raspberry sorbet. I guess this was her way of comparing their sex, and that she was used to her favorite ice cream of mint chocolate, and it was good. But, this raspberry sorbet was different and fun and delicious, and I just found the whole thing so damn cringe. Ashley sucks. I'm sorry, Devin, in the comments. Ashley sucks. If there is ever a list made from this point forward of the worst soap opera characters of all time, if Ashley is not a part of that list, then the list is not accurate. So if any one of these websites makes a worst soap opera characters of all time, if Ashley's not on it, it's fake. Because Ashley is one of the worst soap opera characters of all time. Ashley is so boring. She is so cringe. I don't believe her and Grayson had this great night together because Ashley's a wet blanket. Maybe Ashley had a good night because Grayson was putting in a lot of work and she was probably laying there like a wet blanket. I don't know why we have to be subjected to this Ashley shit, but we are. If the show wants to make Ashley viable, since they clearly want to keep her around for whatever reason, she needs to just be a supporting character because that's the only time she works. But if they insist on still trying to make her more than a supporting character, the wrong way to do it is another Insta romance. It failed with Derek, and I don't think it's going to work with Grayson either, and I don't think I could pretend for very long to care about their scenes. So if they want to make Ashley work, maybe try a different storyline that isn't a love interest. For the love of God, please do. Then we have Derek today. He doesn't need his cane anymore. He walked to Jacob. Jacob had to break the news about Ashley's double date with a new guy, but Derek said he knew Ashley would move on. He said he was trying to pretend he didn't care. But then he did end up asking about who the new guy was. They also talked about Jacob's problems with Naomi and their marriage problems and their couples therapy and the problem about the pregnancy thing. I am wondering if they're going to make Naomi pregnant after all. I hope not, because it just means more bad scenes for Naomi and Jacob's boring relationship problems. Anyway, Derek saw Ashley and Grayson together at the end of the episode. I don't know if Derek was jealous. I don't know if they're still going to make this triangle. If they keep Derek in this orbit, if Derek's whole existence on this show, now that he's a recurring character, is still to be pining after Ashley while Ashley's moving on with a new man instead of just moving Derek on with someone else, because most of us as an audience actually has liked some of Derek's chemistry with other characters. But if they instead keep Derek in Ashley's orbit to try and make another Ashley couple work, it's going to fail again. This is the perfect example of this show not knowing when to pivot. I talked about this in my year-end video about the show, where I talked about the pros and cons of the first 10 months of the show. This is one of the show's biggest issues. They don't know how to move on from some of these characters and either cut them loose or at the very least take them out of each other's orbits and try something new. I can't do another Derek and Ashley storyline together. And I don't think they're going to try and put them back together, but either Derek's going to be super duper jealous about Ashley and Grayson, I don't know. I got to go back to just watching the show on Paramount Plus and not watching it live. But then I'll be more inconsistent about posting these reviews if I do that. But I need to start fast forwarding Ashley and Derek shit again, like I used to the first few months of the show. Anyway, Ted and Eva today. This was another debacle of this episode. Ted and Eva talking about Anita's cancer. So now Eva knows about Anita's cancer, which means it's only a matter of time until Mama knows about Anita's cancer. But even worse is, first of all, they were rehashing the same cancer discussion that every single character has discussed these past 3 weeks of the show. So their first couple of scenes in this episode was just very repetitive. But then they're gossiping about Kat. Ted is gossiping about his other daughter with Eva, knowing these two don't get along, talking about how Kat didn't want to get tested and Nicole tested positive for the gene, and Ted's concern about that. And this was all this progress they've been trying to make with Ted's character lately, trying to make him a better father. Well, it kind of went to shit in this episode because he was gossiping about his other daughter. He's a gossip like Shanice. So, like, honestly, Ted and Shanice as a couple, maybe they are very fitting. And I don't mind a gossip. You know, I like to gossip. But here's the issue with Ted's character. He's gossiping about his daughter. That's, like, not a good look. Ted's a weirdo when it comes to family shit. And this was another example of that. Then Ted was trying to say, oh, maybe you should reach out to Kat, Eva. But then he's saying, oh, that's just selfish of me because of the way Kat treated you, Eva. So it's probably too soon. But it kind of felt like Ted manipulating Eva to reach out to Kat. So what does Eva do? She does reach out to Kat at the end of the episode. And she tries to say that she can be a shoulder for Kat to lean on. You know, once again, Eva trying to mend this relationship with Kat. And once again, we get the same old shit of Kat telling Eva to stay out of her business, stay out of her family. I did like Eva's line about that she did this for Ted. And she's saying that one day Kat is going to need her, and after all the times Kat told Eva to go to hell, she's going to throw it back at Kat. And I look forward to that day. I really do. But also, there's going to come a day when Eva and Kat are going to finally reconcile. It's bound to happen. They can't keep these, well, with the way this show writes like shit, they might try and keep these two as rivalries forever. But I don't think it's going to work. It's already old. But if they're smart, one day Kat and Eva are going to need each other and are going to reconcile. And, you know, maybe it is going to mend some of the fan base wars within the show. The only other thing today was Tyrell and Jessica at Orphe Jeans. June was also at Orphe Jeans today. Waitressing like she usually does. The whole storyline was about Jessica not wanting to go to the cotillion or not being involved in the cotillion thing. I do want to point out Barbara Gregg in the comments is always asking, where's June? Every episode, where's June? Well, June finally arrived again. If only, I need you to start asking, where's Lynette and where's Kyle? Because that's who I want to see in these episodes. But yeah, I guess Jessica was feeling the cotillion by the end of the episode because she was talking about it with Samantha, and Tyrell's going to go with her, so I guess that suddenly makes her feel better about the cotillion. I don't know. I really wasn't paying attention to them today compared to everybody else. I think I was upset in the middle of the episode when I had to listen about Ashley talking about ice cream flavors and was cringing the whole damn time. So today's episode, not my favorite, you know, unlike yesterday. The Hayley and Bill stuff was good. That storyline still needs some more movement, though, than what we've been getting overall. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. Hopefully with Naomi and Chelsea's test results, it's not an episode all about cancer. I hope not.